Not to pocket watch. I'm not one to pocket watch. I'm one to observe and extract lessons. And we always hear about athletes and entertainers going broke after they've achieved the pinnacle of their success. And I wanted to just highlight this story, highlight this headline that I've seen, that has gotten a lot of mixed reactions, and it's just weird to me. It's just par for the course for the internet. Some people are so dumb, but this meme came across, and I've seen it a few times. Despite being on a $260 million dollar contract, Lamar Jackson still lives in a relatively modest home that he bought for less than $1 million. And then people are talking about, well, that's not modest. It's $1 million, or it's whatever. It's worth 1.26 million. And in Owings Mills, Maryland. You gotta understand, man. People, he's $260 million, and that, I don't think that even includes like his endorsements and any side money he makes. When you're in the NFL, you have the opportunity to make so much money. Do have so many different resources, and that most people do buy houses. In his position, would buy houses 3 to 4 times more than that. It's a thing that high income people are still technically broke because of their spending habits and because of them living above their means. And so when I see something like this, I think it should be highlighted, and it should be celebrated, for a young African American man who is living relatively modest. And then going through the comments, I like to read comments. Going through the comments, people are like, oh yeah, he's really being facetious and being sarcastic, or he's really slumming it, or that's not modest. It's modest for him. I don't know if you guys remember watching Cribs back in the day, and a lot of those celebrities now in the fullness of time, we've seen that a lot of those celebrities, those weren't their actual houses. They didn't own those houses. Again, not to pocket watch, just to observe and collect data and information, and hopefully for the benefit of our for us to learn from. And we see that a lot of those celebrities that that had big, huge houses, huge estates, a lot of them don't have them anymore. A lot of them sold them, maybe for a profit. A lot of them sold them, maybe for a loss. It's become more of a thing that I've seen for celebrities, people or people who are in that position to live relatively modest. And when you say relatively modest, a lot of people miss the word relatively. A $1.2 million house is relatively modest for someone who's worth close to $300 million, who has access to $300 million. Not to say he's liquid $300 million, but I'm, again, not to pocket watch. I'm sure he paid, or he has the ability to pay for that house in cash. And if he were to get anything not modest, relatively, he most likely would have to take out a loan or a mortgage, and that has its advantages and disadvantages. But what does he need like a 10-bedroom 7-bath house for? 50 Cent is a notable example of someone who bought an crazy amount of house, and even himself, he said that he that was just something that he needed to do for that time for himself. But he eventually party ways with that house. He said, I remember he famously said that he was too scared to walk down the halls. Some of his halls, he was hesitant to even walk down some of his halls because the house was so big. There were parts of his house that he would go weeks and months without even touching, without even visiting. So everybody has their different quirks. Everybody has a different preferences, but most people really don't need that much house. I want to take a look at the house. I think they show the house, the actual inside of the house. Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at this. So I mean, so in Owings Mills, Maryland. I'm not familiar with that area. I've been somewhat in that area before, but I know in the Northeast, a lot of times, I'm in Texas, I'm in the South, so the cost of living is relatively cheap. Remember, relative. People so stupid, don't they have to understand the word relative as opposed as comparing himself to his peers. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of his peers that make less than him that have more house than him, have spent more on a house than him. So again, it's relative. It's all relative. But this is a house. Okay, 1.2 is worth 1.26 million. He bought it for 900,000. Says reportedly. 8,000 square feet. I mean, that's nice. I mean, for me, that's something that it's not modest for me, but I have an abundance mindset, so I know that it's possible for someone like myself. That's why you guys got to support the channel, like, share, subscribe, and I can get there, and I will get there. But this is not just egregious and super extravagant. This is something like in Texas, in parts of Texas, like I'm in Central Texas or South Texas, this house would go for maybe nowadays 600,000-700,000, maybe 800,000. He got it for 900,000 in the Northeast, and look at it. It's a beautiful home. I'm pretty sure these are the pictures from before he bought it. Pretty sure it looks quite different now. He's probably added his own flair and touch to it. But it's a nice, decent house for hosting a big family, parties, holidays, things like that. He's on the road, I'm sure, a lot. He's not even there a lot. I think he's single. I don't think he's married. He probably has a gal. He probably has a gal. Probably has some kids. I don't know. But it's a nice house, man. It's a nice house, and it's nice for him. And I like to see that he's reasonable about his living choices and his spending choices. I like that. I hope he has good security, though. I hope he has good security, because I always think about the Sean Taylor situation. But anyway, this is something I just wanted to bring up. I thought it was pretty interesting. And I was looking at the comments. People are so stupid. Relatively modest. Y'all don't know the meaning of modest. It is modest. Relatively. And like this guy said, relatively modest. Relative meaning compared to what the house to income ratio of someone with net worth would be expected to spend on a home. That is relatively, and that's correct. That is relatively modest. People always have most people really do have a limited mindset, and it's unfortunate. But it's, for those of us who have an abundance mindset, it just means there's less. There is no competition, but it just means that there's less people to crowd your space, so to speak. Yeah, Let's see right here. That would be modest for a $260 million contract. That's true. Critical thinking and reading comprehension is tough for some. It really is. It really is. Most people don't critically think. Most people are critical, but they don't critically think. Totally different thing. Yeah, so you want him to live in a trailer or something. I mean, first, that this is very modest. That's what I'm saying. And then for 900,000 or worth 1.3 million. I mean, just think if he lived in L.A. If he lived in L.A., that same house would be probably 10 million, at least 4 or 5 million. You know. So I think, so anyway, shout out to Lamar Jackson, man. Kudos to him and him being modest in his choices. Peace and blessings.